Hi, this is Mohammed Kubaib. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, in this video, we are going to discuss about Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. So, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for the future updates. If you want to learn more about Azure, Citrix, or Amazon, you can check out my bestseller course in Udemy. This is also available in Udemy for Business. So, Amazon FSx for Windows File Server, which provides fully managed shared storage built on Windows Server and deliver a wide range of data access, data management, and administrative capabilities. So, in a nutshell, if you have a requirement for the SMB share for your Windows applications, etc., then Amazon is offering a service called Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. So, this is fully managed from the Amazon side. So when I say fully managed, it means both hardware as well as software is managed by AWS. For example, when I say hardware, it includes planning capacity or procuring or purchasing the hardware or setting up storage servers, volumes, etc., or detecting or addressing the hardware failure or investing any capex cost. So when it comes to software, it includes installing and configuring the server operating system, or installing and configuring the file systems, or applying any Windows updates, or manage any software licenses, backups, etc., etc. So AWS will completely take care of all these parts. So as a customer, you just need to use the service. So when it comes to the architecture, so here in this example, you can see we have a region, and under that region we have a VPC, then we have a availability zone. So you can either deploy your FSx file system in a single availability zone or in a multiple availability zone for the redundancy. So in this example, as you can see, we have a FSx file system over here. So this is nothing but when you deploy FSx in the backend, it will create Windows file server cluster, and then the storage will be attached to that so that you will get the share. So in a nutshell, it is nothing but it will create a Windows file servers, and then it will mount the disk, which is completely managed by AWS. So as a customer, you do not have any visibility on this. You can just save or you can just create any files inside this file share. So one of the very good use case of Amazon FSx for Windows file server is VDI workload. So in virtual desktop infrastructure solution, we need to have a profile management solution to store the user data. So normally it requires a SMB file share. So in Amazon, we can use Amazon FSx to serve the SMB share for the profile solution. The good part of Amazon FSx for Windows file server is you can integrate with your own Active Directory, or you can integrate with Amazon managed Active Directory as well, so that you can configure NTFS permissions on the share based on the Active Directory users. So to create the file share, so we need to go to the Amazon portal and we need to search for FSx. So here you will get an option called FSx. So once you click on this particular blade, so it will land you here. So now we need to click on create file system. It will have an option. One is for the NetApp, and another with the OpenZFS, and another one with the Windows file server. And then we have something called FSx for list. So we need to select Amazon FSx for Windows file server because this is the one, it will provide us the SMB share. So it will help us to deploy our FSlogix or UPM related profile solution. So once you select this, click on next. Here we need to give the name. So I'm going to give a name it as profile share. And then it will ask deployment type multi-AZ or single AZ. So based on your requirement, you can either choose multi-AZ so that you'll have a highly available system which is spanning across different data center. So since it is a demo, I'm going to select single AZ. So it means it will only deploy the file server or file system in the particular data center. So I will select storage type as SSD, and then the capacity. So minimum you have to give 32 GB. So I'm going to give 50 GB in this, and then recommended throughput capacity, I'm keeping it default one, which is 32 MB per second. So This is very important when it comes to the network and security. So I'm going to select virtual private cloud. So this is the place where we have to select our VPC. So I'm going to select this, and then we need to select the security group. So I'm going to select the security group which I created earlier, which is demo SG. Subnet. So we have two subnets. So I'm going to select the production VDA subnet, and then authentication. So we have two options. Either you can choose AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory or self managed. So in our case, we have our own Active Directory server. So we'll select self managed, and then it will ask for the Active Directory domain name, so which is vdibus.site, and then the DNS IP, which is 10.0.0.60. If you have multiple DNS server, you can mention the IP address over here. Otherwise, you can enter the single IP address of your DNS server. So service account, which is very important. So we need to create a domain account. We should have permission to join the computer machine or storage account to the domain. So to create a service account, let's go back to our domain controller. Under users, I'm creating one account, which is a service account. I'm going to name it as storage SVC, and the same name I'm going to give under the user logon name. Click next, and then enter the password. Click next and click on finish. So now we have the service account. So I'm going to assign this service account with the domain admin credential. So domain admin privilege. In a production environment, do not give domain admin. You can give some custom permissions to join the VMs or the accounts in domain. So I'll copy this name which is required. We need to enter it in the portal. So I'm going to give the name as storage SVC, and the password we need to mention here. And we need to enter the password once again. And the operating system and the organization unit within which you wanted to join your file system. So for example, let's say if I go back to my Active Directory computers, so I'm going to create a new OU. I'm going to name it as AWS. So I want to place that particular storage under this OU. So to get the OU details, so let's go to properties, and to get the complete OU details, for example, like OU is equal to org, DC is equal to example.com. So the best way, we can go to view and we'll click on advanced feature, and then select your OU and right click, go to properties and attribute editor. So here we'll get the DN name, which is a distinguished name. So we need to enter this details over here. Now delegated file system administrator group. So I'm not going to keep anything. So if you wanted to give some delegated permissions, you can select the groups. So I'm not going to select anything over here. Let's keep it as simple as possible. So now everything seems to be fine. Let's click on next. So it will give some warnings over here. So what are the things you can modify after the file creation, and what are the things you cannot modify after the creation of file. For example, let's say file system name, so that you can change it or editable after the creation. However, file system type, or or the storage type, you cannot change. For example, let's say if you wanted to change it to SDD instead of SSD after some time, so that is not possible once you create the file system. So let's click on create file system. So it is creating the file system. So it will take some time to create the file system. So let's wait, and then we'll come back to this page. So now the file server creation has been completed. The storage is available. So we can see the status over here. So if we go to our AWS OU, we can see some entries over here. This is nothing but a Windows Server clusters, etc. in the backend. So which is provisioned through AWS, and this will provide us the highly available storage where we can host our profiles. Either it may be a UPM or FSlogix profile. So let's see how to access it. So let's open this particular file system, and let's go to the. So once we are in this particular blade, which is a profile share file system, so let's go to the DNS name where we can see some DNS name is there. So let's copy this and let's try to access it from the VM which is joined to the domain. So for simplicity, I will try to access it from the domain controller itself. So we need to enter the forward slash in the beginning and then followed by the name of the file system. So if I click OK, I'm getting the share. So now this is the share where you can configure your UPM or FSlogix profiles. So and also you can define the NTFS permission so that you can limit the access and control the access as well for the end user. So this is the procedure how we can deploy Windows based storage solution. So using Amazon FSX.